Imagine the shock, the horror, and the sheer terror in the hearts of those who suddenly realized they had executed the Son of God. Can you picture it? The earth shook violently, the sky turned dark, and a profound silence blanketed the land. This was no ordinary death. Something monumental had just occurred, but who was this man on the cross? To the Roman soldiers and Jewish leaders, it may have initially seemed like another brutal execution, the kind they had seen many times before. The soldiers were indifferent, following orders. The Jewish leaders felt victorious, believing they had silenced a dangerous voice. But this man was not just any man. This was Jesus of Nazareth, the man who had healed the sick, raised the dead, and claimed to be the very Son of God. So, what made this moment different? Imagine the scene. It was midday, yet darkness fell upon the land, a darkness so thick it felt supernatural. Crowds gathered, murmuring in confusion, casting uneasy glances at the sky. At Golgotha, the place of the skull, Roman guards stood watch, vigilant against any attempt to free Jesus. Among them was a centurion, a hardened soldier who had witnessed countless deaths, but he was about to see something he could never have anticipated. As Jesus breathed his final breaths, an eerie silence overtook the crowd. The mocking voices faded, the jeers a distant memory in the cold, tense air. Then, without warning, the ground beneath them began to tremble. Can you imagine the panic as rocks split and the earth quaked, as if creation itself was reacting to this horrific moment? Even the seasoned centurion who had seen it all felt an unfamiliar chill. This was no ordinary execution. He had heard Jesus speak words of forgiveness, had watched his peaceful composure under excruciating suffering, and now this. What could it mean? Suddenly, from the direction of the temple, a deafening sound filled the air. The veil, the massive curtain that separated the Holy of Holies from the rest of the temple, had been torn in two from top to bottom. This was no accident, no natural occurrence. It was a divine sign, a moment when heaven intersected earth in a way that no one could ignore. The tearing of the veil marked a spiritual transformation, a shift that would forever change the relationship between humanity and God. The centurion looked at Jesus' lifeless body with a newfound awe and dread. "Surely this man was the Son of God," he whispered, his voice trembling with the weight of the realization. His words, simple but profound, echoed through those around him. Soldiers who had mocked Jesus only moments before stood frozen, faces pale as they absorbed the gravity of their actions. As the rumors of these strange and supernatural events spread, the Jewish leaders began to feel an unfamiliar dread. They had believed that crucifying Jesus would put an end to his influence, silence his teachings, and restore their authority. But now, faced with the signs, the centurion's declaration, and the shaking of the very earth, they began to question. Had they made a catastrophic mistake? Had they, in their zeal, condemned an innocent man? Or worse, had they put to death the very one they had awaited, the promised Messiah? What if it's true? What if Jesus truly was the Son of God? The answer to that question would change everything. Picture the followers of Jesus in the hours following his crucifixion, hiding in fear, hearts weighed down by the devastating loss of their teacher and friend. They began to hear whispers of something unthinkable. The eerie darkness that fell over the land, the powerful earthquake that shook the ground, and the tearing of the temple veil. Could these all be signs? Were these more than mere coincidences? Could it be that something extraordinary, something divine had taken place? Their sorrow mingled with a new, fragile hope. What if Jesus truly was the Son of God? What if his death meant something far beyond their comprehension? For those who had watched him die, the centurion's haunting words echoed in their minds. Surely this man was the Son of God. It was a statement that shook those who heard it, a glimmer of truth that disrupted everything they thought they knew about life, death, and the divine. Imagine the Roman soldiers who had once carried out this execution with cold indifference. They had seen countless criminals nailed to crosses, yet they had never experienced anything like this. Now, as they recalled the unnatural darkness, the violent shaking of the earth, and that centurion's haunting words, a deep disturbance grew within them. They had played a role in an event far beyond their understanding, and the weight of that realization would haunt them, a reminder of their part in a moment of cosmic significance. For the Jewish leaders, these events raised questions that struck at the heart of their beliefs and authority. They had hoped that putting Jesus to death would secure their power and silence a dangerous voice. But now, faced with these inexplicable signs, they began to wonder, had they made a terrible mistake? Had they been pawns in a divine plan, opposing the very one they had awaited, the Messiah? The confidence they once held was now laced with fear and guilt. Had they brought divine judgment upon themselves? Meanwhile, the disciples, huddled in hiding, felt despair pressing down on them. Everything they had hoped for seemed lost. But as reports of these miraculous occurrences reached their ears, something began to stir. Was it possible that Jesus' death was not the end, but the fulfillment of ancient prophecies? Could this be the moment when all that he had taught would finally make sense? They reflected on the darkened sky at midday, the earth that trembled beneath their feet, and the veil that tore in the temple. These weren't just signs, they were revelations. As these events began to unfold in their minds, the disciples realized with a new clarity that Jesus' death was a gateway to something greater, a plan hidden for ages and only now revealed. Their fear transformed into unwavering faith, and their despair gave way to a mission they could no longer deny. This was more than just a personal awakening for the disciples. It was a moment that would resonate throughout history. The realization of Jesus as the Son of God, the recognition of his sacrifice as an act of ultimate love and redemption, filled them with an unbreakable resolve. They were no longer followers hiding in fear. They were now bearers of a divine truth, compelled to spread this message to the world. This was a turning point, not only for them, but for humanity. If Jesus truly was the Son of God, what did that mean for the world? This question echoed through the hearts and minds of those who witnessed it all, inviting each person to confront a new and unsettling reality. What if Jesus' death was just the beginning? What if, in that moment of darkness, God had opened the door to a new hope for all? Picture the days that followed that earth-shaking moment when Jesus took his last breath. The aftermath of his crucifixion spread quickly, sparking a ripple of shock, awe, and uncertainty. News of what had happened, the unnatural darkness, the violent earthquake, the veil torn in the temple, and the words of a Roman centurion declaring, "Surely this man was the Son of God," spread like wildfire, reaching ears far and wide. The centurion's words echoed through the streets of Jerusalem, stirring deep questions among all who heard. Even Pilate, the Roman governor, who had reluctantly ordered Jesus' execution, couldn't shake the reports that began to reach him. Pilate was a man of strategy and pragmatism, known for his tough rule. Yet, as he began to consider the possibility that he had condemned a divine being to death, an unease crept into his heart. Could he have ordered the death of the very Son of God? The weight of this decision hung over him like a shadow, leaving a haunting mark on his conscience. Was his pragmatism, his need for order and control, worth the cost of potentially rejecting a divine presence? The significance of this moment grew over time, reverberating through history. It wasn't just a tragic event, it became the foundation of the Christian faith, a testament to the boundless sacrificial love of Jesus and the fulfillment of ancient prophecies. This was a moment that uncovered the depth of human sin, yet also the limitless grace of God. It was a revelation of both humanity's need and God's answer. In that one fateful day, an act of betrayal became a door to redemption. This wasn't merely a moment of grief. It was a moment that would challenge and change hearts for centuries to come. As the years passed, the message of Jesus' death and resurrection began to spread across the known world. The words of the centurion, "Surely this man was the Son of God," became a powerful affirmation for believers, echoing across time and space. For them, it wasn't just a confession, it was a rallying cry, a proclamation of hope and faith. This moment, this single confession of Jesus' divine identity, transcended the ages, inspiring countless people to examine the story and the man behind it. How could one day, one execution, carry such a deep impact? What was it about this man, about his life and death, that transformed people from skeptical bystanders to passionate believers? Perhaps it was the fulfillment of the prophecies, the hope of forgiveness, or the recognition that love could truly conquer death. This wasn't just a historical event, it was a divine revelation, a moment that continues to inspire and challenge us to this day. The significance of this moment grew over time, reverberating through history. It wasn't just a tragic event, it became the foundation of the Christian faith, a testament to the boundless sacrificial love of Jesus and the fulfillment of ancient prophecies. This was a moment that uncovered the depth of human sin, yet also the limitless grace of God. It was a revelation of both humanity's need and God's answer. In that one fateful day, an act of betrayal became a door to redemption. This wasn't merely a moment of grief, it was a moment that would challenge and change hearts for centuries to come. As the years passed, the message of Jesus' death and resurrection began to spread across the known world. The words of the centurion, "Surely this man was the Son of God," became a powerful affirmation for believers, echoing across time and space. For them, it wasn't just a confession, it was a rallying cry, a proclamation of hope and faith. This moment, this single confession of Jesus' divine identity, transcended the ages, inspiring countless people to examine the story and the man behind it. How could one day, one execution, carry such a deep impact? What was it about this man, about his life and death, that transformed people from skeptical bystanders to passionate believers? Perhaps it was the fulfillment of the prophecies, the hope of forgiveness, or the recognition that love could truly conquer death. This wasn't just a historical event, it was a divine revelation, a moment that continues to inspire and challenge us to this day. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery. If you found this exploration meaningful, please like, share, and subscribe for more insights into the powerful stories of the Bible and their hidden meanings that still resonate in our world today. In the aftermath of that unforgettable day, something profound had been unleashed, a truth so powerful it would echo through the ages. The cross, once a symbol of shame, became a beacon of hope and redemption, a testament to the depths of God's love and the possibility of a life transformed. The recognition of Jesus as the Son of God was more than a revelation. It was an invitation, a call to see beyond the darkness of. As the centurion's words lingered in the hearts of those who had witnessed this event, the world would never be the same. The power of this moment, of this sacrifice, continues to challenge and inspire us to look deeper, to seek truth, and to find purpose. In Jesus' ultimate act of love, humanity glimpsed the heart of God, a heart that offers forgiveness, hope, and an unbreakable promise of life beyond death. This is the message that calls out to every generation. Even in our darkest moments, there is light, and in our deepest so. So, as we reflect on this monumental event, we are invited to ask ourselves, what does this sacrifice mean for me? How might this story of grace and redemption touch our own lives? In the end, the story of the cross is not just history, it is the story of each of us, a journey from darkness into light, and an invitation to step into the unending love that changed the world.